What is the most memorable encounter you have had with a stranger? I was having the absolute worst day of my entire life. Just got fired from my job at the auto shop for something I didn't even do. My girlfriend of 3 years broke up with me over text, and my car broke down on the highway in the middle of absolutely nowhere. It was pouring rain, the kind that soaks through everything in seconds. My phone was completely dead, and I've been standing there for over an hour trying to flag down cars. Everyone just drove past like I was invisible. I was starting to panic. No money for a tow truck, no way to call anyone, and it was getting dark fast. I'm talking middle of nowhere. No houses or gas stations for miles. Then this beat-up pickup truck pulls over. Out steps this old guy, maybe 70, wearing faded overalls and a John Deere hat that looked older than me. He took one look at my car, then at me standing there dripping wet, and said, "Rough day, son." I explained everything that happened. Lost my job. Girlfriend dumped me. Car died. He just nodded like he understood completely. Without saying another word, he grabbed some jumper cables from his truck and had my engine running in 5 minutes. When I tried to give him the $20 in my wallet, he waved me off. "Keep your money," he said. "Just promise me you'll pass this kindness on to someone else someday." Then he looked at me closer and asked if I'd eaten anything today. Truth was, I hadn't had food since breakfast, and it was almost dinner time. My stomach was growling so loud. I was embarrassed. He told me to follow him to this little roadside diner about 10 miles up the highway. Place looked like it hadn't been updated since the 7s, but the food smelled incredible. At the diner, he bought me a cheeseburger, fries, and a chocolate milkshake. We ended up talking for 3 hours straight. His name was Frank, and he'd been a mechanic for 45 years before retiring. He told me amazing stories about fixing cars with nothing but duct tape, coat hangers, and pure determination. How he once got a broken-down school bus running using parts from a lawn mower. When I mentioned getting fired unfairly, Frank got real quiet. Then he pulled out his flip phone and made a call. "Hey Bobby, it's Frank. You still looking for a good mechanic at your shop? I got someone you should meet." 20 minutes later, I had a job interview scheduled for 8 the next morning. Frank even offered to drive me there himself and introduced me to his buddy Bobby personally. I got the job. Better pay than my old place. And Bobby treated his workers like we were his own sons. I worked there for 6 years, learned everything I could about engines and business, and eventually saved enough to open my own auto repair shop. Last month, I was driving home from work when I saw a young guy broken down on the exact same stretch of highway where Frank had found me. His car wouldn't start, and he had that same desperate, defeated look I remembered having. Without thinking twice, I pulled over, got his engine running with some jumper cables, and asked if he was hungry. We went to that same old diner, and I bought him dinner just like Frank had done for me. The kid told me he just lost his job at a warehouse and had no idea how he was going to pay rent. His girlfriend had left him, and he felt like his whole world was falling apart. I made some phone calls, got him connected with 3 different shops in town that were hiring. By Friday, he had 2 solid job offers and his pick of where to work. When he tried to thank me with a few crumpled bills in his pocket, I just smiled and said, "Keep your money. Just pass this kindness on to someone else someday." That's when he looked at me with the strangest expression and said, "You know what's weird? This old mechanic named Frank told me those exact same words about 15 years ago when I was just a little kid." My heart completely stopped. I couldn't breathe for a second. He continued, "My dad's car broke down on the same highway when I was maybe 8 years old. This old guy in overalls helped us out, bought us lunch, and said someday I'd understand what real kindness meant. His name was Frank." I started crying right there in the diner booth. The kid looked totally confused until I explained how Frank had saved my life on this exact highway 12 years ago. How everything good that had happened to me started with his grandfather's kindness. We sat there until the diner closed, sharing every Frank story we could remember. His grandson showed me old photos on his phone of Frank working on cars in his garage, teaching neighborhood kids about engines, always helping someone who needed it. He said Frank passed away 2 years ago, but right before he died, Frank told his family that the best thing about helping strangers was knowing that kindness would ripple out into the world long after he was gone. That night, I realized Frank hadn't just fixed my car that rainy day. He'd fixed my entire life trajectory. And somehow, through some miracle, the universe had arranged for me to return that favor to his own.